This hour of the Dave Ramsey Show is brought to you by Zander Insurance, the company I've been recommending for term life, disability, and ID theft protection for almost 20 years. Go to ZanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-4282. From the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and a paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. You jump in. We'll talk about your life and your money. We're glad you're here. You know, the older I get, the dumber things look around me sometimes. This idea that some of you have, bless your little hearts, you have not lived long enough to realize that communism is a complete freaking failure. I just read a review of a guy going through Cuba. He visited Cuba the other day. One of my son went to Cuba this summer. He decided that was a cool thing to do. Cuba is basically right now an armpit. It's a Caribbean nation that's been run by the Russians, and the highways look like they were carpet bombed. There's no hot water, there's no toilet seats, there's no soap and running water in most of the country. People literally go down the main highways with ox carts. This is how communism works. And yet some of you little twits that are in college still think communism's a good idea. I mean, really, you can find no tangible evidence that it has ever worked anywhere for anyone except the three people that run the place, and they put all the money in their pocket. But for the little man, communism has never worked. You cannot find a socialist country, a communist country, that has economically prospered for the little man, for the average person. There's no evidence, and yet people still think it's a good idea. It's interesting, man. I mean, it's the fun thing about the internet is you just get hammered with information, and some of it's true. But I was just reading this review of Cuba, which was funny because it's sad. Is everybody's all enamored with Cuba this and Cuba that, and let me just tell you, dude. I mean, go to Mexico; it's a lot better. Or better than that, stay in the States. It's a whole lot better in terms, I mean, really, the Hampton Inn actually has toilet paper in it. It's an amazing thing. And most of the time, they don't steal your stuff. I mean, it's an amazing thing, this country we live in. We just take it for granted. So, you know, you got that on one hand, and then the next thing I read is this little hipster twit who says, why do people at McDonald's make less than a heart surgeon? Because we're not communists. That's the answer to the question. The only way that a heart surgeon would make the same thing as a person at McDonald's is because we're communists. We take on the communist economic form of operation. Because that's the only place that says everyone makes the same amount of money. Oh, except the people in the government who run everything, and they take all the money. So let's just keep in mind, very, very wealthy people in Russia. Just a few of them. But very wealthy people. So income in capitalism, what little twipster, whatever we call a hipster that's a twit, is saying is that's a new term. I just made up a new word. It's pretty cool. A twipster, a twit that's a hipster. Yeah, there you go. All right. So what he's saying is that it's unfair that a heart surgeon makes more than a person at McDonald's. And I would submit to you that it would be unfair if they made the same amount, because the amount of preparation, the amount of study, the amount of years in school, the amount of dollars spent to go get that education for the heart surgeon is a bazillion times more than the person working at McDonald's. So to pay them the same after one has spent decades preparing for their career and one spent 20 seconds preparing for their career, to pay them the same would be unfair. If a man works 8 hours a day and another man works 4 hours a day, it would be unfair to pay them the same wage, to pay them the exact same amount for a day's worth of work, because one only worked a half a day. Well, we wouldn't do that. Well, it's the same thing, darling. It's the same thing. And so for wealth to be all equal in the name of it's not fair, it actually would be unfair. Because some people are prettier than others, some people are smarter than others, some people run faster than others, some people study harder than others, some people work harder than others, some people come up with better inventions than others, and so they should make more. I'm not as smart and successful as Bill Gates. Well, I'm not jealous of Bill Gates. I don't have his intellect. I did not change the world with the personal computer. Bill Gates changed the world, literally, with the personal computer. You can like him or not like him. You can think DOS is better. You can think Apple is better. I don't care what you. The bottom line is the guy changed the world, and so he earned his money, and then some. It would be unfair for a gal who owns one restaurant to make the same as someone who owns 10 restaurants. That would be unfair by definition. So don't tell me that wealth inequality is unfair. Of course wealth inequality is fair. It's required to be fair. Otherwise, you would never do anything, and you would be communists, and your country would run that way. You know what the unemployment rate is in Cuba, doofuses? 48%. Half the people don't work. And, oh, by the way, the ones that work, they don't work. 48%. This is how communism works. Oh, the primary thing of Marxism is wealth equality, by the way. It's unfair that the little man, the governing people are going to band together and make sure that the little man is taken care of. That's Karl Marx, right? Read it. It's his manifesto. And yet we still got twipsters believing this stuff. I guess it's just part of going to college with communist professors. I guess that's where you get that. But, you would think communist professors would be intelligent enough to actually study the data that there is no such thing as a communist socialist country that has been economically successful over an extended period of time. There is no such thing. It has never worked. And really, there's nothing much more capitalistic than a good communist, because they figure out a way to work around the system and sell something. For people that don't believe in capitalism, boy, they are capitalistic as they can be. You want to meet capitalists? Meet a Chinese. They're the most capitalist communists on the planet. They're more capitalists than capitalists are. Think about it. Don't be stupid, people. It just makes you look stupid. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Over the years, I've seen so many families suffer by not having life insurance. It's not that they didn't care. It's just that they didn't know. So they did nothing. That's a huge mistake. Listen, term life insurance is the only way to go. It's not complicated, and it's not expensive. Please go to XanderInsurance.com or call 800-356-4282 and get the info you need to take care of your family. Trust me, taking these simple steps will let your family know how much you care. 800-356-4282. Kyle is with us in Denver. Hey, Kyle, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve, sir. How can I help?
So, my question for you is my wife and I claimed Chapter 13 bankruptcy in January of 2014. And I have since taken your class, actually immediately after we filed for bankruptcy. And I feel like we want to pay off our student loans, our auto loans, and our home equity line of credit and our bankruptcy early, but I'm curious if there's any consequences as far as the bankruptcy goes.
All three of those had to be 100% paid anyway in order to keep the house and keep the car, and student loans are not. They don't do a percentage plan on those. So all you being in bankruptcy on those three things was it just kept them off of you until you got current through the bankruptcy. Did you have any unsecured debt that you paid percentage on?
Yeah, so the what was included in the bankruptcy was all of our credit card debt.
Yeah, what percentage was that?
I don't remember. The total on the credit card debt was $75,000.
Now, I mean, did you do a 100% repay to the credit cards, or did you pay them a discount?
No, it was about 50%.
Okay, all right, cool. All right. In order to come out of your bankruptcy early, I'm not sure you can select those things. I would want to work through your attorney or the bankruptcy trustee. The good news is the Chapter 13 bankruptcy trustees are the bright spot in the bankruptcy industry. Most of them are pretty sharp, and most of them do a good job trying to help the consumer. You can't say that's true about all the lawyers in the business. You can't say that's true about everybody else. There are some good attorneys in the business, but the 13 trustees, we worked in that industry for a long time. I know those guys and gals, they do a good job. So what I would do is call your attorney and ask them how to do this in your district, and also just call the Chapter 13 trustee office. You should have their numbers in your paperwork, and tell them what you're wanting to do, and can I apply extra payments to bring my house current, for that matter, pay the whole plan out early.
Yeah, and at our current pace, we with the debt snowball, we actually pay. We finished our 60th payment in January of 2019, but we also pay off our car loans, our home equity. We almost become debt free on everything.
Yeah, but that's your 5-year mark. That's not early.
Well, the other debts, the cars and the HELOC, were supposed to be paid off after the bankruptcy trust.
So you're paying extra on them now?
Yes, I am. I make a monthly payment on top of my
bankruptcy payment
every month.
Okay, and that's not a problem for that local trustee then?
No, that's actually what was negotiated into our bankruptcy.
Okay, I would just keep working that, and as soon as the car, everything except the credit cards, the stuff that you're paying 100% anyway, as soon as all of that's paid off, if you want to come out of the bankruptcy early, then you can. If you'd step out of the bankruptcy now, you probably will lose the 50% off on the credit cards, and then you will have gone through all of this for nothing.
Yeah, and that's kind of.
I don't want to do that.
I led down the bankruptcy path.
Yeah.
When we didn't need to. But
yeah, I agree with that. But we're there now, and so let's use this. Let's use this tool now that you're in it. I wouldn't have suggested it, but let's use the tool now that you're in it, because 50% of the credit cards off. I don't want to have to go deal with credit card companies because they're morons.
Yep, exactly.
And they're now at arm's length. They're all pushed off by the rules of bankruptcy. They're not allowed to contact you. You're not having to negotiate with them or anything like that. But what you could do is this: you could contact the trustee and say, "Can I pay out the credit card, the unsecured portion that is discounted to 50%? Can I pay that out early and then just voluntarily dismiss?"
Okay.
And that'll get you out of the bankruptcy earlier.
Okay.
So what's the balance owed on the credit cards today in the bankruptcy?
Well, I know what we owe the bankruptcy is $6,000.
Overall? The whole thing?
Overall, we have a really low payment. We've made some significant life changes, education.
Okay.
Jobs.
Then how much are you able to pay a month on this extra? How quick could you clear that $6,000?
I could clear that $6,000 probably in 3 months.
Why don't you just do that? And then that pays you out, but then you've still got your you've still got the car payment and the other stuff laying there for your debt snowball, but you're no longer in bankruptcy. You're current with them, so they're not a problem. It's the credit cards that are a problem if you step out early.
Yep.
If you step out before it's paid off, but just pay that $6, and then that ends the bankruptcy.
Okay.
That's what I would do. But again, coordinate that with the trustee or with your attorney.
Okay.
So that, but as soon as you can write three $2,000 checks, each month, you should be able to step out of that thing. Credit cards are done forever and ever. Amen. When you do step out, nobody from the other stuff's going to be worried because you're current with all of them.
Right.
And they were getting 100% anyway. The car, the student loan, and the home equity loan is what it was, wasn't it? Those three.
Yep.
So you're already current with them. So you don't lose anything with them if you stepped out today. But what you would lose is that 50% off, and you'd screw up the whole thing with the credit card companies. I'd rather just pay that on through in the next 3 months, and then you should be able to end the bankruptcy.
Okay. And calling the trustee, that's not gonna raise any red flags of
No.
Essentially avoiding the 50%.
No, shouldn't. You should be able to just work your way through it. You can drag it out if you have to drag it out, but usually they would welcome the chance for you to end this early.
Okay.
In most cases.
I would end it.
And again, the good news is that usually, I can't 100% guarantee it, but usually the Chapter 13's office, you are actually dealing with intelligent life there.
Okay.
And is your attorney been pretty responsive?
No, we've our last time seeing each other was the day we filed in January of 2014.
Yeah.
And she's gotten her money, and I think,
her services have ended, yeah. Yeah, you're pretty much a widget on a conveyor belt in a factory.
Yep.
That's what it sounds like. Well, I would contact her anyway and just say, this is what I'm doing. If you don't get any response back in 24 hours, then you can contact the trustee directly. Usually that's been my experience. There are some good bankruptcy attorneys. It's not a complete oxymoron, but there's not many. There's not that many. And, it doesn't sound like you got one of them. It sounds like you got one of these that just they're a bankruptcy factory, and they just crank them out. But the trustees, again, the Chapter 13 trustees, most of them do a great job. Arthur is with us in Washington, D.C. Hey, Arthur, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up in your world?
Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you. I listen to you regularly on replay on iHeartRadio and on YouTube, of course.
Thank you.
So I have my 6-month emergency fund. I actually max out my TSP for the last 19 years. I know you recommend only 15%. I'm currently on baby step number 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I have 2 mortgages. Mm-hmm. So my question is, should I attack it like baby step number 2? The first mortgage I have with my brother, and mm-hmm. I've been telling him, we need to eliminate this mortgage. I'm mm-hmm. actually embarrassed to say that I've had this mortgage since 2002. So I've been telling him, we need to knock this out. Mm-hmm. The second mortgage I have with my fiance.
Well, both of these are trouble because you're in partnerships on both of them. And so what I would do is what we teach, and that's limit at baby step 4 your TSP contributions to 15%. Everything above that I can squeeze out of my budget or my life, I'm going to pour onto my debt. Pour onto my mortgages and get rid of them as quickly as possible. So, yeah, I'm going to focus on them. It's not the gazelle intense like it is when you got credit card debt, but it's still very intentional and very pushy that I want to clear these debts.
Hey, this is Rachel Cruze. How can we live the life we want without debt, stress, and worry? I'm so excited to tell you about my new book, Love Your Life, Not Theirs. I'll walk you through 7 money habits to help you enjoy your life and do the things you want. You'll learn how to quit comparing yourself to others, think before you spend, and talk about money even when it's hard. These principles will give you a fresh perspective on taking control of your money. Are you ready to love your life? Love Your Life, Not Theirs will show you how. Go to RachelCruze.com to order today. That's RachelCruze.com.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. Justin and Sarah are there. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks, Dave.
Hi, Dave. Doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Welcome. Good to have y'all. I see
you,
on my screen you're debt-free. Congratulations.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Very fun. And how much have you paid off?
We paid off just under $77,000 in 27 months.
Wow, very good. And your range of income during that time?
We started at about $65K, and then Sarah got a new job, and I got multiple incremental raises just sort of here and there. And then my boss kind of introduced me to sales, and so I started getting commissions on top of that. And
wow.
So that helped. And then we did as much as we could on the side. I do some photography and some stuff like that. And so we got our income up over to just over $100K.
Wow. Awesomeness. Very good, guys. Very good. What kind of debt was the $77,000?
So we had a car loan, loan from family for the down payment on a house, and 2 sets of student loans.
Okay.
Except the student loans were in the UK, and so I don't like to say they're Sally Mae. I like to think of it as we kicked Theresa May out.
That'll work. Our British aunt. Yes.
Exactly.
That will work for me. I like it. Very cool. Very cool. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
So how long have you two been married?
Almost 10 years.
Yep,
Okay.
10 years in August.
So what happened 27 months ago that started this journey?
So 27 months ago, okay, so we moved we moved to America from the UK about 4 years ago, and some friends of ours had been through FPU and introduced us to you and let us borrow some of the CDs, but we were too caught up in moving and supposedly living that, American dream that we didn't take the time to go through that material.
Plus, at that point, all we had was student loans at that point in debt, and the mindset in the UK is pretty much the same as it is here, that student loans are just something that you're always going to have. And so we kind of convinced ourselves that we didn't have any debt, and so we kind of, copped out of the material that we should have listened to at the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what happened 27 months ago? They gave you the wake-up call.
Well, our family, when we got here, our family offered to loan us some money for a house, which we really appreciated and took them up on it because, everyone has to buy a house. And then later I switched jobs. I had been working from home from my company in the UK, and so I was working in the city, and so we needed another car. And, of course, we hadn't saved anything or borrowed, so we borrowed for that. And then all of a sudden we looked up and we had over $80,000 in debt. And for me, that realization and fear really was what it was, hit me pretty hard. And even though we could afford the payments, the total figures was just so much like I felt like I couldn't breathe. And so at that point was when I remembered about FPU, looked it up again, bought the Total Money Makeover, and started listening to your podcast every day, and the hope just exploded. And so I was on board immediately, gave the book to Sarah, and thankfully she signed up for the journey. And,
yes, I did.
Here we are.
Very cool. Very cool. So did you sell anything? What did you do to get out of debt?
No, we didn't sell anything. We didn't really have anything to sell because we had just moved from the UK, and that was kind of a good opportunity to clear out all the junk and stuff. It really was just cutting back. Deciding to say no a lot, and so we pretty much had no life.
Did you have anybody that came along and was a cheerleader, or were most people telling you were crazy?
We had a few, yeah, sure. We had a few people, like I mentioned before, the couple that have been through FPU before, kind of cheering us on and celebrating those small victories with us. But really, it was just a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work. You know, keeping to that budget, that was huge for us. That was definitely a key for us, getting out of debt and knowing where every single penny was going and having control over our money and not letting our money control us was a big eye-opener for us.
We also started coordinating. So our first class was last September, so we still had, you know, at that point we thought we had a year left, and we ended up doing it much quicker. But coordinating the class and helping other people go through it too helped a lot.
There's something about that I'm hearing that a lot nowadays. A lot of the debt-free screams are people that, you know, part of the way through their journey, they reach over, start coordinating a class, and it just gives you that extra rocket fuel to blast on through, doesn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
It really, really does. Yeah. So shout out to our current class. We're in one now.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Where's your class taught? At a local church?
At our church.
Okay, very cool. What's the church?
It's Family Church in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Very cool. Well, thank you for leading the class, and thanks to the church for letting you. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
Good stuff. Well, how's it feel now that you're there?
It feels absolutely incredible, though for me, I think personally, it's still sinking in. I was in work the other day listening to a presentation, and the lady was explaining how she's just like everyone else, up to her neck in student loans, and I kind of sat there and thought, wow, I'm not. I have no student loan debt at all, and that's really freeing for me.
Yeah, it really, really is amazing, and one of our motivations was to be able to give outrageously, and so that's still kind of at the back of our minds. And we're in baby step 3 now, and like I just said, we found another way to give, even though we don't have the money, right now. And that way of giving is by coordinating. So we feel blessed to be able to do that.
Very cool. Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate you doing that, and congratulations. I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To go. You're heroes. We got a copy of Chris Hogan's book for you. And that's the #1 bestseller, Retire Inspired. And, of course, that will help you go on to the next chapter in your story, millionaire status and outrageous generosity status.
Yeah,
yes, for sure.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Very proud of you guys. All right, Justin and Sarah, Albuquerque, New Mexico, $77,000 paid off in 27 months, making 65, but with extra jobs and raises all the way up to 100. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
We're debt-free!
Love it. Way to go, you two. Very, very proud of you. Good stuff. Well, how many times do we do a debt-free scream that they didn't go through Financial Peace University, or in many cases these days, coordinating a class? Think about that. Well, almost 5 million people have now been through this class. And if you haven't been, that's starting to make you kind of weird. I mean, really, because what happens is it's the rocket fuel. I mean, it propels you on down the road when you coordinate a class or just attend the class. The average family going through the class is paying off $5,300 in debt and saving $2,700 in the first 90 days. Add those two figures together, that's $8,000. That's not a bad return on investment. Where else are you going to go to get $8,000? That's the average, which means some people do better and some do less. Pretty cool. Here's the deal, though. You have to get started. It's like anything else. The first step is sometimes the hardest. So jump online at DaveRamsey.com. Find the Financial Peace University section. You can find a class near you, or you can just sign up and get the kit and then find a class near you, or you can even help us start a class near you. Wouldn't be a bad plan that way either. So it's a high correlation between these debt-free screams and this Financial Peace University class. It really is. And so, and some of you have been through the class, and maybe even you've been a coordinator, and maybe you need to buy the kit for someone. Maybe you need to hand it to someone, which is saying, hey, I think you can win. I believe in you. I think you got this. I think that's what it's saying when you do something like this for someone. So check it out, DaveRamsey.com, or call customer care. They'll help you at 888-22-PEACE. 888-227-3223. Scripture of the day, Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Don't be like other people. How do you keep from being like other people? You put new things in your brain. That's the Dave version. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Henry Clay said, of all the properties which belong to honorable men, not one is so highly prized as that of character. It's a decision. You get to decide. You get to decide. You have great power because you can decide. That's power. The interesting thing is that people surrender that power. They say, well, I don't have the right to decide. Why not? Only because you decided. Isn't it interesting that people decide not to have the power to decide? They feel like they don't have the right to decide because they decided that. You have the right. What is it you're going to do? I hate my job. Change it. I don't like the way I look. Change your eating and exercise habits. I don't like the way I feel. Change your eating and exercise habits. I don't like being broke. Change your money habits. You have the right to decide. Just like that. It's a powerful idea. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. Their 100% satisfaction guarantee means that even if you mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they will remake your blinds for free. Now through April 18th, get up to 30% off site-wide when you go to Blinds.com and use the promo code Ramsey. That's Blinds.com, promo code Ramsey. Today's question is from Dave, and he says, what do you think about using a whole life policy as a get-out-of-debt program by borrowing and then paying yourself back with interest? Most dogs that chase their tail only catch the dog in front. That's what I think. That's just plain stupid. Okay, let me get this straight. I'm gonna buy a whole life policy. I'm going to pay 20 times more for the insurance so that there's money in the whole life policy that I put in there. I'm going to borrow that out, and I'm going to pay them interest to use that money to get out of debt. Did you just go around the barn 3 times chasing the same cow, son? I mean, really. Why don't you just use all that money that you were about to waste and get screwed with an insurance company, use that and pay off your debt? This really, man. People work so hard at not working. But this is actually one of the things that's being pitched out there by these stupid whole life insurance companies. Using a whole life policy as a get-out-of-debt program by borrowing and then paying yourself back with interest. Well, you pay yourself back and you pay them the interest, but aside from that, the interesting thing is, whose money is it? How'd the money get in the whole life policy? Oh, you put it in there. Oh, why don't you just use that money instead of you putting it in a whole life policy and pay on the debt? You short circuit all of this crap. Oh, and by the way, you won't lose your butt in the process. Because whole life is, man, it's like the payday lender of the middle class. It's absolutely horrendous. Jeff is with us in Evansville, Indiana. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Thanks for taking my call, Dave. I'm relieved to get to talk to you.
I'm honored to speak with you. How can I help?
So the wife and I built a house and made almost every mistake you could make in that process, and I'm trying to avoid making one more. The construction loan is coming to a close, and it was a one-time close loan, so my rates are locked, and all of that's done. We've got approximately $30,000 left from the sale of our previous home. And I'm trying to decide to put that back towards the new mortgage, which was our original plan, or should I pay down some of the $52,000 in other debt that we have, 27 of which is in property attached to our home, but on a separate note, and 25 is that dreaded loan from mom and dad.
And you have $30,000 in free cash laying.
Yes.
So we can't clear both. What's your household income?
Base is at about 120.
Okay. All right. And if you do not use the $30,000 towards the house, will you have a 20% equity position to avoid PMI?
Well, that's unique. I'll be at 15, but the bank made a mistake at closing and didn't have me sign the right papers, and they cannot hold me to PMI. Their words in an email.
Wow. So no PMI?
No PMI.
Either
no
PMI
way. If I had zero down.
Yeah, either way.
Exactly.
Either way. All right. No, I'll just close on the loan as is then. I wouldn't mess with it, and let's use the 30 and pay off mom and dad, and then and a little bit towards the land, and then we'll turn around and snowball the land out of your regular budget.
I like the sound of that, Dave. I appreciate it.
And that clears everything. And if you got no PMI, then we go after it. What's your interest rate on this loan, on the mortgage?
3.5.
Okay, good. And fixed, I assume.
Absolutely.
Good.
30
good.
years, unfortunately, but it is fixed.
Well, you can. Did you say 30 years?
Yes.
See if I don't know that they would care to convert that to a 15.
Well, that's going to be getting into about 40% of my take-home pay to do that.
Ouch. Well, I'm not going to do that either. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, not at this point, but I think I'm going to take found money. We're selling everything that we don't need and knock that thing down, still pay off in 15 years just on a 30-year note.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and as your income goes up, you don't adjust your lifestyle. You start throwing at that house real hard. Yeah, that's good. That's exactly what I would do. Good question, man. And, as you said, I wouldn't have signed up for the trip you're on, but this is the best way to take the trip, the things we outlined. Daryl is with us. Daryl is in Seattle, Washington. Hi, Daryl. How are you?
Doing good. I'm blessed, man. How about yourself?
Better than I deserve, sir. What's up?
Yeah, so I've been following you for a while. Me and my wife, we're in FPU right now, and we just finished the insurance lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And so last night I was talking to my mother. She's 59 and a half. Our family has a history of generational poverty. She was considering, she has term life insurance now, and she says her premium's about to go up in a few years, and she's considering getting whole life insurance. And so I told her, no, wait, let me research this and everything. So I'm calling you now just to kind of see what would be the best option at her age to pursue.
Good for you. Well, you're learning stuff. That's neat, and she's open to listen. Yeah. Does she have anyone that counts on her income to eat? If she dies, who's going to be left hungry?
No one.
Okay. So why does she need life insurance?
Well, she just wants to leave something for her kids, I guess, just because we just all grew up broke,
Yeah, I understand. But life insurance is not the best way to do that. And so I would rather her just save her money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Has she got any money saved?
She has a few retirement accounts from older jobs that she worked in. I have to.
Good. How much is enough in those to bury her?
We don't know. She lost track of those accounts like a long time ago, so we have to go back and try to find them.
Okay. Well, first thing is to raise enough money and make sure she's got a good emergency fund, and that would bury her if something happened to her, God forbid. And that way she's not a burden to the family. But no, I would not buy life insurance at all. No one's counting on her to eat. So we just saved her a ton of money. Not whole life, not term, not anything. The only thing that she would need is a burial policy, but I don't even think she needs that. I think she just needs to save her money, and you guys use that money to bury her, and you don't leave an inheritance by using insurance. Insurance companies make money on insurance. Think about that. That's not a way to leave an inheritance. So I'd just avoid the whole subject if I were her. Good question, Daryl. That puts this hour of the Dave Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.
This hour of the show is over, but you can also watch on our free mobile app, our website at DaveRamsey.com, or on the Dave Ramsey Show YouTube channel. We are everywhere to serve you.
Hey guys, this is Dave Ramsey reminding you to catch the Dave Ramsey Show live on our YouTube channel weekdays